Welcome to podcast number 10 of our AI-generated news summary. Our next story is titled, Arnold Palmer was appalled by Crude Trump, who praised the late golfer's genitals. The Republican presidential candidate made the comments at a campaign event in Pennsylvania. He was responding to a question about the size of his genitals. Trump has been bringing penises into politics for some 8 years now. In 2016, he defended his penis size after Senator Marco Rubio, RFL, commented on Trump's supposedly small hands. Graydon Carter called him a short-fingered vulgarian in Spy magazine. Peg Palmer, what would my dad think of Donald Trump today? I think he'd cringe. She said her father made disgusted noises when Trump appeared on the television. He said he was proud of the way he plays golf and that he was proud to be a golfer. She added, I'm sure my dad would be proud of what I've done. She added that her father would be disgusted if he saw Trump on the TV. Our next story is titled, Trump mocks Harris's story from behind the fryer at McDonald's. Trump says he will accept the results of the election if it's a fair election. He also says he thinks Harris is the most divisive person I've ever seen. The former president was scheduled to speak at a Lancaster, Pennsylvania, rally later in the day before attending the New York Jets-Pittsburgh Steelers NFL game Sunday night. I think I have just checked off a whole big one to have Stevie Wonder sing me happy birthday. The vice president says, these are bad people. We have a lot of bad people. But when you look at Schiff and some of the others, yeah, they are, to me, the enemy from within, Trump says of his opponents. But he says he would not seek retribution against his opponents for their actions. The Harris campaign advisor Ian Sams said Trump's McDonald's event was a sign of his desperation as Election Day nears. The vice president did wish Harris a happy birthday through the drive-through window. Our next story is titled, GOP Gov. Sununu. I don't like Trump's rhetoric. But it's nothing new. New Hampshire Gov. Chris Sununu said he isn't a fan of the former president's intensifying rhetoric. He predicts as many as 5% of Republicans won't vote for the former president because of his character. The remarks come amid Trump's increasingly dark and sometimes crass rhetoric on the campaign trail. Sununu, I think one of the mistakes is if Kamala Harris thinks that they're just repeating the crazy things Trump says. He says voters are putting a greater emphasis on cost of living rather than tariff policy. Can I afford to pay the rent? He says, I can't get a job. Can I get a mortgage? He asks. The economy really translates to a cost of living issue, he says. Can I pay my rent? Can I get the job? He adds, can I get the mortgage? Can I afford the rent? Can I pay the mortgage? Can I afford the job? Is a question voters are asking. Our next story is titled, How We Crunched the Numbers. We looked at all 1.7 million car listings on cargurus.com from August 2 to December 16, 2023. The local popularity of vehicles was ranked not by a model's total number of listings in a particular county but by how much it exceeded its average across all counties nationwide. Car models in those counties were placed on a political spectrum of reddest -1 to bluest +1. Car makers whose models appeal to the widest range on the spectrum, spanning the two political extremes, were rated the purplest brands. The most popular models in each county were the ones with the highest ratings on the political spectrum. The least popular models were the models with the lowest ratings and the most unpopular models in the county. The top-rated models were those with the best ratings in all of the counties, as well as the most popular cars in the state of New York, California, and New Jersey. The bottom-ranked brands were the cars with the worst ratings in each of the states. Our next story is titled, Blue dot in Nebraska draws boldface political names. Nebraska is one of 2 states that doesn't award electoral college votes on a winner-take-all basis. The winner of the popular vote in the state gets 2 votes. The other 3 are divided by the winner in each of the state's congressional districts. I want you to think about how close these elections can be, Gabbard said at Walz's rally. We're just like this tiny little blue dot in this red state. But we have a voice. And we want to be heard, Meg Hawkes said at a Democratic rally for Walz at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. Your votes are the most important votes in the United States today, former independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. told the audience at a rally in Omaha. Put us over the top, Walz concluded his rally on Saturday, referring to his campaign's chances of winning the Senate seat from Nebraska's red state. Our next story is titled, Red Car, Blue Car. See where your ride ranks on the political spectrum. We compared 1.7 million vehicles listed on CarGurus with the results from the 2020 presidential election. We included only counties that were strongly red or blue. The most democratic vehicle in America is the Toyota Prius. 8 of the 10 bluest vehicles are foreign-made, despite some of its models ranking high with Republicans. The purplest carmaker is Jeep. The Jeep Wrangler, the brand's most iconic model, was first offered for sale in 1987. A young man in his 20s might start out in a Wrangler, and a wife and a few kids later he has cycled up through the Grand Cherokee. Jeep fans have launched a dizzying array of online clubs, and forums owners stage Jeep jamborees all across the country. From the desert of Moab to the mountains of Appalachia, the Wrangler is the most popular car in the U.S. With a market share of more than 40%. It's the second most popular vehicle in the United States, after the Ford Fusion. Our next story is titled, Blue Wall, Democratic Governors Boost Harris with Bus Tour. Democratic governors of 3 Blue Wall battleground states sit down with ABC News. They tout Harris's ground game but acknowledge the race is a toss-up. If Harris wins Michigan, Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, plus the single electoral vote in Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, she would hit the 270 electoral vote threshold. With 19 electoral votes up for grabs, Pennsylvania is the prize both campaigns want to win. No Democrat has won the presidency without Pennsylvania since 1948. I feel confident that it's going to be much larger than the last time, Harris says of black voter turnout in Wisconsin. In Michigan, Democrats remain concerned that Arab and Muslim American voters will not turn out for Harris. We're prepared for anything Donald Trump throws at us, Shapiro says of his campaign's response to Trump's attacks on the integrity of the election. Do you want a leader who's going to throw gas on the fire to keep you angry so that you tune out? Whitmer asks. Our next story is titled, Trump names Pelosi and Schiff as the enemy from within. Former President Donald Trump is not backing down from his fascistic remarks about the enemy from within. He is naming Democratic reps Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff as part of said enemy from within. Schiff reacted to Trump's comments in a post on X. Trump continues to threaten military action against his domestic enemies, the congressman wrote. There is no justification for such dictatorial behavior. Except dictatorial. The former president is showing himself to be increasingly unhinged and unstable. Trump reiterated his lies about the Capitol attack, remarking on the size of the crowd at the Save America rally. Trump tried to lie and say that there was nobody killed, and nobody had guns on Jan. 6. But facts do not matter to the former president, who has become increasingly fascist in his rhetoric. He and his party lay the groundwork for challenging the results of the 2024 election. Our next story is titled, the group translating Project 2025 into Spanish to warn old Latinos about Trump. Voto Latino is a group that has pledged tens of millions of dollars to backing Kamala Harris in the 2024 election. The group is translating excerpts from the MAGA policy book into Spanish and developing a digital ad campaign. The project is a liability to Trump's chances, given its extreme approach to reproductive rights, immigration, and pretty much every other sphere of governmental policy. It got to the point that the former president has been arguing in recent months that he barely knows anything about the project. The nonprofit plans to begin rolling out a new series of Spanish-language videos highlighting Project 2025 this week. The online ad campaign is set to push a total of 10 Spanish-language videos, each of which will also have a version in English. Voto Latino says the Project 2025 effort is geared specifically toward older Spanish speakers. 99% of Latino young voters under the age of 33 are English dominant, the group says. I don't think we're going to be able to win the White House in 2016 without the Latino vote, said former President Barack Obama. Our next story is titled, Mandela traveled on Trump's plane in 1990. Who paid for it? Trump shuttle operated flights between New York City, Washington, D.C. and Boston. Trump spent $365 million on 21 planes, airline terminals and equipment. After 18 months, the company had lost $128 million. Mandela traveled to the U.S. on an 11-day tour after his release from prison. The U.S. government did not provide Mandela a plane for his U.S. travel. It paid for his security and used a military plane to transport a bulletproof limousine. About 12,000 police officers were on duty the day of Mandela's visit to New York. Trump thanked Murdoch for bringing up the story. A campaign posted the clip on X, where it had more than 3 million views as of October 19. The post was flagged as part of Meta's efforts to combat false news and misinformation on its news feed. It has been removed from the site as it is no longer considered a news source by the site's users. It was also removed from X as it was no longer a news service. That concludes our AI-generated news summary for today. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for our next episode.